Call to order meeting of the Sedro Woolley Rotary Club, the greatest Rotary Club in the. Thank you. Friendship transcends death. Memories made will never be forgotten and created a lasting impression on those they left behind. Everyone became a better person for having such a wonderful friend. Phil is who I'm referring to, as you all I'm sure aware. Today's invocation is by Rick Lemley.
Lord, we look up to you on a daily basis. We all love you, but this week we're a little peeved with you on two counts. One, you should talk to Mother Nature about all the rain that she's been providing, and that you watch over these families that are stranded, homeless, and without food and assistance. And second, for the taking of our beloved member, Phil Mihalik, we ask that you watch over his family as they deal with his passing, and over this club as we mourn the loss of a great Rotarian and mentor. I guess that's enough for that.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Today's song, Sue.
Oh, you are my sunshine. You are my
Sunshine, my sunshine. Make me happy with such a rain. Never know, dear, how much I love you. Don't take my sunshine away. Thank you. Do we have any visiting Rotarians here today?
John Morgan, Rotary Club.
Welcome, John.
From the Mount Vernon Club, John.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Vogt from the Mount Vernon Rotary Club, the Noon Club, and I'm glad to join you here this afternoon. Going to be picking up some of the rotary wheels afterwards, so might need some help with that. Thanks.
Thank you. Rick in the back.
Sorry about that, Rick. So I would like to introduce Charlie Bush. He's actually our new city administrator, and he is a member of the Squim Rotary. However, now that he's here in Sedro Woolley, he's going to be transferring his membership here. So welcome, Charlie.
Welcome, Charlie. Any other guests or other guests of Rotarians here other than our program?
Hello,
Mary?
everybody. I would like to introduce our CTE Director, Jared Grisham, is here joining us today as guest and also to support our FFA club.
Welcome, Jerry. Thank you. Welcome to all the visitors and guests. We lost our friend and fellow Rotarian Phil this week. I remember what a great Rotarian Phil was. I first met Phil in the upper reaches of Husky Stadium back in the 70s and the 80s. Phil was great friends with Bill Peterson, whose son Payson was my best friend all through school. And we hung out there, and I remember some of the games, but you know, there was always good fun up there. And I remember him as someone who was friendly and would do anything for just about anyone, or probably anyone. He really, truly will be missed. Mark Venn asked me to share this. He couldn't be here today. But he said that Phil was the consummate friend, neighbor, and Rotarian. He truly embodied what service above self means. Along with my fellow Rotarians, I will deeply miss Phil, but know his imprint on our community and our lives will last forever. Rest in peace, Phil. I understand that the service for Phil will be next Friday, November 27th, or Saturday, excuse me, I'm sorry, 10 a.m. at the Catholic Church just across the street here. So you can all plan for that. I appreciate that. This would be a time for anyone who would like to say anything, be it a memory, a funny story, or just what Phil means to you. So I'll just kind of open the mic up and just raise your hand, and Rick will bring it around if anyone has anything they would like to say at this time.
When I moved to Clear Lake, I had been a Rotarian for several years, but I didn't really know Phil and Marilyn that well. And when I moved there in 2005, they took me in and were so kind, and I got to know them really well. And we decided, he told me how many Rotarians lived in Clear Lake. And I said, oh, well, we should do a Clear Lake crawl. So for every year after that, all the Rotarians in Clear Lake would do a crawl from one house to another and have a fun dinner and fun fellowship. And one other story, I went with Phil and Marilyn out to visit Norm and Olive's daughter on Lopez Island. We went out there for several days. We had a blast, and I miss both of them so much, but our club will never be the same.
I think that tears are not always sadness. So sometimes joy and sadness just escape. So just ignore that part. But I didn't know Phil as long as most of you guys, just a couple of years, and shared a couple beers. And he came to my daughter's stuff whenever they had stuff, and he had his own family and grandkids that he doted after too. But he was just a joy. And I just think that the number of years you know somebody isn't linear to the much you can enjoy from them and the much you miss them when they're gone. So that just teaches me something, that even if you're just in somebody's life for a short period of time, you can really bless them. That's what Phil did.
Thank you, Sheena. Mike?
You know, Phil's the guy that I turned down to be in Rotary. He told me, he said, you know, your dad's a good Rotarian, your brother's a good Rotarian. You could probably be a good Rotarian. And I said, you know, I'm too busy and everything else. And he said, well, he said, you'd still be a good Rotarian. So I always think about Phil, you know, he saw the best in everybody, and he made people better than they were. I just think that, first of all, the greatest Rotary Club in the universe will continue on, because everybody in this room has part of Phil in them now, and we got to do the kind of things that Phil did. But I got one story, because Phil loved women. It doesn't matter. I mean, he was married to a beautiful person and everything else, but there wasn't one person, you know, female, that Phil didn't love. And he made sure that everybody felt good about being Yeah, well, anyhow, you guys all know what I'm talking about. And so that's the best thing I can say about Phil is there wasn't one person that he didn't love. So there you go.
So two things quickly, and these won't be any revelations to anyone in here if you knew Phil, but one was his intellect. He was a sharp guy, and I have this unusual memory of being at a Rotary Christmas party one year, and we were off the site and we started talking about a new over-the-counter or prescription drug that had come on the market. There was a steroid, a pain relief thing. It was really new. And we talked about the chemistry of it and the efficacy of it and so on. And I thought, I had just read an article on it and because it kind of intrigued me, but to think that somebody would already know about that. And he explained some things that I didn't know as well. And, you know, this was such an odd conversation, but that he was up to date on this. He knew all about it. And I know that he worked a little bit, some of you know, for a guy named Les Francis, who's a local builder. And if you know Les, he builds really high quality houses. And Phil would occasionally work for him doing some of the finish work. And a lot of contractors aren't crazy about doing the finish work because it's tedious, takes a lot of time. You got to be very careful. And, but Phil, you know, with it, he would use his knowledge of angles, geometry, and so on to do really good finish work for Les on occasion. And he never said this to me, but I'm guessing it probably wasn't too dissimilar from being a dentist and working in a very tight spot and having to be with no tolerance for error and so on that made him that way. And the last thing was that one of the things that we shared was love for travel. And since I retired, I like to travel a lot, and my wife and I, and so did he in Maryland. And but Phil just didn't travel. He traveled with purpose. I had a couple of ideas for places to visit, but it wasn't just, you couldn't just say, you should go see this. He wanted to know why. And why was it significant? And what was important about it? So he was a great traveler of the world and brought a lot of knowledge back to the rest of us because of that. So those two things, great intellect and a world traveler, I think was, when I hear his name, I'll remember those the most.
You know, when I joined Rotary 23 years ago, Matt, your father was one of my biggest supporters right off the bat. And, you know, in the 23 years I've been in Rotary, I don't think he called me Mike once. It was always Mosier. And, you know, I corrected him multiple times saying it was Moser, like a Z, it's Moser, but he always butchered my last name, but that's all he ever called me. But, you know, he was real quick to correct me when I got your last name wrong. So just a little story there.
Yeah, Phil Dog Mihalik, you know, he liked to travel. And so we would get on some real good ventures. The best one, I think, was we were going for a hike over the Cascades, but they had a fire. It was in August. So they said, oh, you can't go up that trail because the bridge burned out. So I had a riverboat and I said, well, let's go on a little trip. So we put in at the Marble Mount Bridge and just stayed on little islands, traveling down through. We got towards Sedro Woolley and he said, Schmitter, he said, we're out of gas, aren't we? Well, we hadn't used any because we just drifted. I said, no, we got plenty. He said, well, I'm going to call Marilyn and have her bring some gas. Marilyn, could you bring us some gas? We only need a couple of gallons, but he said, we need gin. We got to have our gin. He said, we're all out of gin. I don't know if you knew Phil, but he enjoyed that and God bless him. And I'm going to miss him, you know. Yeah, anyway, thank you.
Phil and I met the day that I joined Rotary, which was 1984. He was the greeter. And he had already been there since 1977, but he was still greeting people. And while I was being greeted by Phil, Dave McIntyre was standing there and he said, if you need a great dentist, this is the man to go to. Well, I did need a dentist, so I went to Phil and he did a great job. And I do have a little bit of story. Phil had a boat. And as John stated, boat's name was Phil Dog. It was, I think, a 40 or 42 foot bayliner. Well, one time out of the many ski trips and fishing trips and things like that. Phil said, Louis and Joanne, you want to go with us to, I think it was, I forget which island it was. We had to go up between Cyprus and Guimas Island. And the Moddens, Mark and Beth, were on the boat too. And so we were going to spend a night off, I think it was either Sinclair Island or Shaw Island or one of. Anyway, we left the marina in the Phil Dog, and we're headed out between Guimas and Cyprus, and it's so foggy you can't see 10 feet in front of you. So Phil says, well, Louis, you watch the sonar and I'll navigate. So I'm watching the sonar and I'm looking at something that I said, what does that mean when it says that there's this blip on the screen here? And he says, what? I said, yeah, look at that. He says, he looks over at the sonar and he pulls the throttle back, and the fog was getting a little bit thinner. And we were looking at a straight vertical rock wall on the east side of Cyprus. So he backed out of there, and I said, Phil, you're a much better dentist than you are a navigator. But the greeting that we always had between Phil and I was 3 words. Every time I'd walk in a room, I'd say, Phil Dog. He'd say, Louis.
Now he's just a proverbial Dr. Phil. Yeah, I remember when I joined Rotary in '99, it was in the summer with Chuck Rule, and a few meetings later, I guess it was in the fall, he come to a meeting, he has this big old binder thing. He says, I'm passing the buck. And it was the Rotary auction log book. It says, it's a big deal. Don't screw it up. I'm trusting this to you. And it was my honor to do that for about 10 or 12 years before passing it on to Travis and that. So, yeah, but I always call him Dr. Phil. Yeah. Anybody else? And as a reminder, there are some cards up here if you haven't had a chance to sign, one for the Mahela family, one for the Grenfield family. So be sure to get those signed too. Rich?
Thank you. We are postponing the bingo that was scheduled for this evening. That's been moved 2 weeks to December 2nd. Still here. Sheena will probably have more details if anything's changed, but I think it's going to be fun. Mike Janicki will be honoring us with his cooking. So it'll be good and it'll be a lot of fun. I think, Becky, you wanted to say something about the Christmas party.
Yeah, everybody knows when the Christmas party is. It's December 4th right here in this room. And I want to have a Christmas party meeting. If Paula, you could join us right after this. Thank you.
And I think just preceding that, there will be a Christmas parade downtown, correct, Paula? Okay, there's a poster up here of some of the events that are going to be going around in the holidays. So put that on your schedule as well. Team captains, you need to be talking about your community projects, and that's all I'll say about that. And then you'll also need to get your teams to start getting some of the silent auction items in. So Tim won't have to worry about it come first of the year. And Black Friday, go out and shop and get good deals and get them in. If you read the Club Runner this week, I had a vote on whether or not we should have meetings on the 23rd and the 30th. The voting turnout was underwhelming, to say the least. But it was almost a dead heat between no or having them on the 30th. But it was just about a tie. And so what I decided to do is kind of cut it down the middle. And we will be having a meeting on the 30th. We will not be having a meeting on December 23rd. So you'll find on your table recommendations from the board. There's, I think, one or two on each table of where we intend to spend our sort of our excess funds, not the normal things that we spend on. Steve couldn't be here today with the actual budget. We will get that out to you and have a vote to approve that. If anybody has any questions on any of the items that are on there, I'm happy to try to answer where this money is going or anything about it, if I can. Other than that, we will be having a vote to approve the budget on the whatever 2 weeks from today is. And any other announcements out there? Okay. With that, I would like to call on Wayne Ramsey to introduce our program. Oh, God, yes, I forgot. I'm sorry, Wayne. I just was anxious to hear what you had to say. So, we'll have the raffle.
Number 12.
Okay.
Winner picks table to pay $2 each. Number 62. $53.
Okay, Mark.
$25 cash.
Is that it? No. Okay.
Number 2.
Becky.
Sergeant of Arms pays $2.
Okay, I forgot one thing before we move on. Today's anniversary day, and I think the only anniversary here is Mr. Garrison. We don't have a rose for you, I don't think. Oh, we do? Okay.
So you can talk about your Sparking days?
I'd be happy to talk about them, but I won't talk very long. I'll just say that my wife and I, Yulia, have been married since 2010, so that's 12 years. And we still are deeply in love with each other, of course, and having a great time in our new home. And we met the old-fashioned way. We met online, so.
Sergeant at Arms.
Sue's backed out, so we're gonna. And it's kind of a complicated thing today, what we're gonna do. As you know, that Cheryl was not able to be here because she got an infection with her hand with her surgery. So some of you, we got at the door when you were buying your raffle, $5 for that. And a lot of you had 20s and things. So we just incorporated that for payment for the food. So on an honor system, if you didn't pay anything for lunch, we ask that you make a donation towards that. And as Phil would say, he'd get right over in your face and go, "What's in your wallet? Come on, hand it over, hand it over."
Yeah.
So So Matt, if you want to do that and just kind of do like your dad did and just get right behind somebody and just start pulling out of their pocket. But anyway, for those that have been coming and going and not here, birthdays and anniversaries for November. Lynn, are you leaving or you want to pick up money? I can't pick up money, but I got. Oh, okay. Well, then forget it. Becky will. Here.
Okay.
Happy bucks.
I got some happy bucks here. I'm just glad and happy I got to know Phil Dog Mihalik.
I understand that he passed in his chair after having lunch with Les Francis, and I think that is the best way to go I can possibly imagine. I'm sure it hurts for the family, but boy, if you got to go, that's the way to go. And happy buck for Phil, and a happy buck for Pat Grenfell. She's been a real long time Rotarian. Her dad was a Rotarian, and a little story about her. She was at the Peace Arch when they planted those 2 trees on each side of the Peace Arch. That was a Rotary project way back when she was a girl, like 12 or 13 years old or something. So she's been involved with Rotary a long time. That's something to remember.
I've got some happy bucks. One, just to be able to join you guys today. Just a great time to be here. As you know, we're celebrating, our club, the Mount Vernon Club, is celebrating our 100-year anniversary. And we're going to be doing that tomorrow night. So it's going to be picking up the wheels from you guys. We're going to use that as part of our decorations. But so thank you for that. And then, so we're excited. I mean, it's kind of a big deal for us, and we're excited about that. Art Palmer, who's one of our longtime members, who's 102, he was just a baby when our club started. So, and also I wanted to do a happy bucks for Pat Grenfell. She was, as you know, a member of our club, and we just really miss her. She shared with us a couple Tuesdays ago that she said, "Hey, I don't have much time left, and it was nice knowing all of you." And she said, "But I'm going to be gone here shortly." And she was gone a few days later. So she's just been a Rotarian through and through. And we're going to be doing a memoriam for her, a memorial gift for her at the event tomorrow night.
I got a happy 20 here. So today, I didn't realize this till I was talking with Wayne a little bit, but there are 3 students over here, last name Johnson, who I finally put the pieces together on, and their dad, or excuse me, their grandfather worked for my dad for 35 years running heavy equipment in our family business. And their great-grandfather and my grandparents were all Swedish immigrants, and they lived up the road from us about a half mile away. We'd see their farm from our place, and they would all come down, and everybody be speaking Swedish when they didn't want us to know what they were saying about us. And so I guess what I'm saying is that, so, you know, they're Sedro Woolley High School graduates, are going to be soon. And, you know, their father was a Sedro Woolley High School graduate, and their grandfather was a Sedro Woolley High School graduate. It's just nice to see, you know, that this tradition's maintained in this valley a little bit. It doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to stay where your family's from, but it's nice to see this, that there's some continuity from generation to generation.
Thanks, Mark.
Some happy bucks here for, I am so happy to have all the kids back in school today.
Back from the Realtor Conference in San Diego. So it was 80 down there while it was raining up here. And some of our inspirational speakers were Drew Brees, quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. He was awesome. We had a live concert with Keith Urban. That was awesome. And Simone Biles was there and gave us an interview in front of everybody, and her mother was sitting right next to me.
One more, Danny.
I have a happy 20 that I'll Venmo, and part of that is for Phil. Phil, number one, I always appreciated that. And I always appreciated all the insight and wisdom that he shared with me as I started to take over responsibilities and roles of the auction, telling me about the Dewey Decimal System that he created and just those, old fashioned tactics that we still utilize today. So I appreciate that. And the other part of my happy bucks is for the FFA team. I've heard a lot about their experience. I'm not going to steal your thunder, but I'm proud of all of you and just excited to hear a little bit more about it today.
Thank you. With that, early leavers, and I'm going to call up on Mr. Ramsey to come up and introduce our speakers.
I'll leave it. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for having us out today.
Glad to see you haven't rocked that new CTE truck yet.
The day's young, Matt. Yeah, I told them I was going to go out to the tree farm and see what it looked like. And they said, Ramsey, you can't go out there. It's underwater. And I told Phil, I said, well, there's a sign that said no through traffic. Not Phil, I told Jared no through traffic. But since I was stopping the tree farm, I might as well go through there. So we had a nice discussion with the city today, and it was a very nice, actually a very good discussion. We weren't in trouble at all. So I told them we're going to take pictures, but yeah, the tree farm is underwater. And no, Jerry, I did not take the CTE truck out there underwater spinning around. I want to tell you guys, first of all, I would wear nicer clothes, except I'm kind of living out of a suitcase right now. Miriam knows that. They're redoing our floors. I tried to get back in the house and get a tie on or something, and I couldn't do it. So please don't take that as a sign of disrespect toward you, because I respect you very, very much in what you do. It's been my pleasure to work with a lot of FFA teams and students, and these are no different. These kids have been, I treat them like adults, they're adults. These students have been putting together a presentation for you. Yesterday, they were talking to the brand new state supervisor who sought us out. Wanted to meet me and the kids. We're at the state champion tractor driving contest, which I'm sure Michael's going to tell you about how great he did. I got it on video, by the way, anybody wants to see it. So they've spent a lot of time getting ready, and I'm gonna get out of the way because I can talk the bark off a stump. So I'm gonna let these guys go ahead and tell you about how much they've done and their responsibilities and how they've really come together. They've done a great job in the state. Like I said, this brand new state supervisor sent me a note. She wants to come out and visit our chapter and probably you, Miriam, and people. And I want her to, and so she's come out. So I'm going to leave it up to them now. When they're finished, if you have any questions of me or them, we'll have time for those. Thank you, Rich, for the introduction.
Hello, I'm Amara Scrindy, and I'm the Sedro Woolley FFA president. And I'm going to announce everybody on our officer team. So this is Michael Johnson. He's our vice president. This is Sophie Johnson. She's our secretary. This is Heather Vanderbeek. She's our historian. This is This is Victoria Sladen, and she's our sentinel. This is Sarah Bethay, and she's our treasurer. And this is Emily Johnson, and she is our, junior advisor. So she wants to be exactly what Ramsey's doing.
But better.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to click next? Yeah. So Sophie and Sarah are going to talk about nursery landscape.
Hi, so our FFA offers a whole bunch, and a couple of our teams are nursery landscape, which we just had a team at nationals for. Those FFA members included Michael Johnson, Sarah Bethay, and Emily Johnson. They took 14th overall in the nation.
14th in the entire nation, all schools outside. Second in the entire nation, all individuals.
Yep. Emily was actually only 8 points away from first place, so she did really good. And Sarah and Emily both got gold individual. Michael and their other teammate, Brody Peterson, got silver individual. Okay, so some of our other teams include floral design, which is a lot like nursery, trap shooting, tractor driving, and logging rodeo. We're hoping to have a horse judging team in the future, but it's kind of in the works. So a big part of our FFA is SAE projects. SAE is an individual student project that they do on their own. It can be a lot of stuff. Some examples are small animals, turf grasses, nursery operations. Emily's SAE project was her greenhouse. Amara's project was working on a tractor. Michael's did beef operations. So you can have a lot of different agriculture opportunities in that. FFA's individual opportunities are stuff like public speaking, which you can compete in statewide, and I think you can go to nationals for that. You can compete in creed, which is you pretty much recite the FFA creed from memory and stuff, and whoever presents it the best wins. Showmanship is kind of with our fairs, showing animals and kind of more in the summer stuff. And then SAE projects. So that's pretty much what our FFA offers. Thank you.
I would tell you that every show we go to with our animals, with our students, they represent things very well. And every species we enter, we come out with at least one champion, Sedro Woolley, any fair we go to, including state. They do really well.
So I represent the FFA Firewood right now. All chapter members, alumni, and people wanting to join FFA volunteer for cutting, splitting, and stacking firewood. This is part of volunteering and for our fundraiser. Our FFA chapter is planning to offer some relief services for all the flooding, and so we are planning on volunteering to do that. Thank you.
FFA develops soft skills other than leadership. There's officers positions, competing on teams and working with other students, helps with our public speaking, helping with fundraisers and community service, and talking about recruiting peers.
FFA also offers a lot of experiences for personal growth. I know for me, at least, I was a shy kid when I joined FFA. And then I went to competing at nationals and speaking in front of people like you guys, the Rotary Club and the board. And FFA offers a lot of opportunities for kids to grow and meet new people, leadership opportunities, and stuff like that.
Did they get it? Oh, it's a little too many. FFA, we offer it in our schools. So like what Ramsey, he teaches horticulture, and Mr. Warman teaches horticulture, Ramsey with landscaping and floral design. And then I think you also teach greenhouse management, correct? Yeah. So that's offered in our classroom. FFA also, on top of that, is an extension of the classroom. So basically what that means is when I went to nationals, it was a really big eye opener for all these different chapters that we ran into from all across the nation on some things that they did. Actually, one of the finalists or the star chapters of the nation was a middle school chapter, which was pretty cool. Let's see here. So CDEs with our career and development, that is the things that you can compete at nationals, including, like Sophie said, my beef operations and everything, and things that I have learned from that, I have put from in the classroom and applied it not just to my farm and my project, but also I can take this now onto nationals and from there on, I should have looked at the slide before again. I think I'm good.
We want to thank Jerry Grisham and Mrs. Mickelson and Mr. Olson for everything they've done for us to get our amazing team to nationals. We very much appreciate it. And we also want to thank Phil Brockman and Rebecca Scrindy for supporting our FFA club by buying firewood. They've just been amazing with that, and everyone else who's supported us. Is there any questions?
I was gonna say one thing, and Michael forgot it, might have been because of his sister, but one of the examples of a career development event, taking someone, what they're learning in class and applying it, is his own sister who wants to be an agriculture teacher, is a junior advisor, but she owns her own greenhouse operation. She's second in the nation. That's all stacked onto a foundation that was in her classroom. She'll tell you that when she came in as a very shy freshman and then developed into, now she's got her own, and I think Miriam's seen it. We've included you in her own mailing, her own email she sends out to customers. Spot on business. And that's, I just want to tell you that because that was part of the presentation, just didn't get in there. So any questions you have?
Hold on, Rebecca.
She's my stepdaughter, by the way. What project are you working on? And this is a twofer. And what are you doing now at work that you're hoping to translate to a job?
Right now, I am restoring a 1949 Super A Farmall, and it was my great grandpa's tractor that he bought actually back in 1949. So he bought it when it was brand new. And my dad restored it in high school for his SAE project. So I was like, you know what, I'll do it. So, and I love tractors and all that different stuff. And then right now I work at Skolton's Equipment and I'm the rental assistant, but I do all the hands-on work. So I service all equipment, I weld, I like do any type of stuff that needs to happen to equipment before it goes out. And I want to go to Wyotech in Wyoming and become a diesel mechanic that specializes in agriculture. So working in Skolton's Equipment now is really helping me like build a foundation for my future. And I strongly believe that I got that job because I am an FFA and I do know a lot about agriculture because of FFA.
So quick question. I know going to nationals is a big deal. It's a big deal. So I want to hear a little bit more about what happened at nationals, how many people were at the convention, all that kind of stuff.
That's a good question. At nationals this year, because of COVID, it was limited to just above 50,000 members. Normal years, it's around 80,000 plus. So yeah, it is a very big deal. They moved nationals from Kansas City to Louisville, Kentucky to Indianapolis because the club eventually grew too big for the city. Nationals, as Ramsey says, is the show. It is definitely something that you go to as an FFA member and you feel noticed and included and the city welcomes you. And there's other members there that share the same stories as you do. And when you put on that blue jacket, that corduroy jacket that we wear, you feel connected, like you're a part of a bigger organization. That was my favorite thing from nationals. But just getting to go and spending time with your team and your advisor and seeing the city and being recognized for all the hard work that you've put in, that was really special, I think.
Some things that I took away from nationals was that nationals is one of the, I've had previous cousins go with Ramsey in the nursery landscape. I think I've had like 4 of them. I think like 4 of my cousins go with him. And my biggest fear was they all did really good. And I was just the brother that kind of tagged along with Emily because my sister did it. So I'll do it. I actually ended up being able to go to nationals. And I thought I was just doing it, just to do it, but I really did fall in love with it. And not just with nursery landscape, but with the FFA in general. So being able to carry on the tradition and go there and compete on the national level is quite intimidating. One of the little things that happened, it was held at the state fairgrounds there in Indiana, and the nursery competition was. And so we show up, there's tables just like this with every state's kind of name on them. And you had to actually qualify, since this year, because of COVID, they had a qualifying, half the contest was online. And so just because you won state didn't mean you get to go nationals, which kind of sucked. We found that out halfway through the summer. We're like, crap. And so we actually ended up qualifying and being able to go compete in person at nationals. And so the top 21 teams went on to nationals from there. So there's 21 different states, and you saw all their name tags. We kept ours. It was pretty cool. It said Washington on it, and we were all sitting down there just about to start. North Carolina they're very, very serious about nursery landscape here. A lot of people don't know much about what nursery landscape is, and it's really big over there in North Carolina and Georgia. They have their schools they start training their kids in 7th grade and stuff for this contest. There's a whole bunch of pressure on them and everything, and their coach is very competitive. He came up to us. We're sitting there. He didn't talk to us, but he came up and just looked at us, just one at a time. And I mean, for a coach to do that, I was like, okay, bring it on, let's go. But still, that was me. But it was one of those intimidating factors on being at nationals, being on that stage, and that level of competitiveness. And that grows you as a character, and it grows you as a person. And so I loved it, but I don't think that was really his plan. But it was by far one of it is the greatest, biggest stage in agriculture. It was held in Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, at Colt Stadium, NFL. The stage stretched from one football goalpost to the other. It was a 100-yard long stage. And it really was a show. They had it on national TV. Like Emily said, 53,000 kids were there this year. Everywhere you went, you saw Blue Jackets. And next year, it's going to be about 83,000 to 87,000 is what they're projecting for next year, because only half got to go this year. So thank you.
Hold on.
Well, I'm one of many trap shooters, but this year at districts, we had our squad of 5, and they managed to take 2nd overall, only 1 point behind 1st. So that was pretty good. I did not qualify for the district squad. I lost to a tiebreaker to one of my teammates, but it was really close. So it's really exciting for next year to see what we can do. Hopefully we can take 1st next year.
One little thing, that's my younger sister, and she is very, very competitive, especially for the older brother. She just kicked my butt this year. I mean, I did not see that coming. She is an excellent trap shooter, and I kind of now just accept it. She's just gonna be better than me. She'll be my coach. We'll go from there.
I wanted to tell you also on nationals, Georgia, and these guys know, I've told them ahead of time that the people would try to intimidate them. People know who Sedro Woolley is at the national level. North Carolina makes it their business to know who we are. Georgia, their guy retired, but he told me that on stage one time. So they knew that was coming. And what I will tell you, and I don't think I've told you yet, Miriam, is they sent the results to us and they forgot to add up the test scores when they did it at nationals. And we can't do anything about it, but these kids, some of them got perfect scores on the tests. So We're 14th in the nation. Two kids won silver medals, 2 kids won gold medals, and they forgot our best part of our test. So great job. I'm gonna get out of the way, let them answer more questions.
Any more questions? Financially, you guys could take parts in sales. So like with Emily, when she sells plants and her floral baskets and all that kind of stuff, you could buy those.
And our FFA program has a plant sale usually annually. This last year is kind of different because of COVID, but support that way is really helpful. It gives us the opportunity to travel and pay for meals and all our supplies that we need to compete. I'm sorry.
Mhm. Yeah, we will.
You bet. Yeah, we'd love to. We actually had, I think we got 50 or 75. I think 72 of them we pre-sold before we even had them in the greenhouse, but we'll figure something out. We have we do have, I was telling Mara to say something. We have a parent boosters club that they do firewood sales, but they also take donations and they pay for hotels and food for the kids. Because a lot of these kids can't afford that. And we don't want them to not be involved in FFA because they can't afford it. So they pay, you know, we just went to the tractor driving state finals for the first time and went to learn the contest, and they paid for the kids' hotel rooms and paid for their food. Some of those boys, you've seen them before, Mr. J. Mike, I hope you don't mind if I say, if you gave me $100 bill once at a logging road, I'd say, wait, you should give me something like a true good man. Thank you. But that's what our booster club does. So if you want to contact any one of the, and I'll get in touch with them, but I don't want our kids to not be able to go to a contest or not be able to eat. And Mike will tell you what some of those kids look like. They need every break they can get. And so that booster club is out there and they're just doing that. And the school, this is the first time ever, Mr. Grisham, that the school paid for their flights and like Mr. Bishop did. I can charge that, Mary and Mr. Bishop, Jeremy. We're grateful for that too. So there are a million ways you can do stuff. Just let us know, please. Because I'm looking at, I was looking at growing more, because that's the way my brain works. But you know, every one of these kids can tell you their story, and some of them would have got involved. It was tough for them. So we'll keep you informed. I'll let you know, Rich, too. Thank you for asking the question.
Some of our kids, we have multiple kids, not just me and Emily and Sophie, but there's other kids in our chapter that do SAE projects that actually, as their SAE project, are entrepreneurship, or they sell things. And I will actually I will make a document or something with the kids' contact information and what they have, and I'll email it to you, Ms. Mickelson, and you can get that out there if you guys want to support the local kids directly. Also, we have some upcoming like food drives and clothing drives and stuff like that coming up near the holidays. We will let you guys know about those too, and little things like that. We have another thing in the works, but we're not 100% sure if it's going to go through or not. But I will let you know if we have anything else up for if you guys can help and support. Thank you.
How many kids are involved in FFA? We have about 70 to 80 kids right now. I've been telling these guys the way I try to think, especially because I have ADHD, is kind of like when Napoleon would do in a battle, is you open one thing at chest of doors, you shut it, and then you open the other one. So my brain, I try to work on one thing at a time. So right now, we just finished tractor driving. Before tractor driving, it was nationals. Now it's logging rodeo. So we have our own log show grass. And when I start logging rodeo, these guys are gonna come out of the woods like I don't know what. But right now we have about 70 to 80 kids. Very important to realize that the old school I came from, White River, they have like 190 kids, but it's because their chapter, I don't want to do this, but their chapter pays for everybody's
dues, so they got that many, but they're not active. So the key part of your question is how many are active, 70 to 80, and it's gonna be more, I think, when we start recruiting.
Yeah.
He's recruiting a lot right now.
We have like 70 to 80 kids that are interested in doing FFA. Right now, we're working on getting kids their dues paid and everything for them to get them fully in FFA. What was it? I was gonna say something. We're planning on having with our FFA chapter, like a Thanksgiving dinner, and a kid came up to me yesterday and said, I didn't really think about this. I just thought it'd be a fun thing for our chapter to do. And a kid came up to me the other day and said, this Thanksgiving dinner actually means a lot to me. I'm not having a Thanksgiving dinner this year. And this is my only Thanksgiving dinner that I could come and celebrate, and thank you for having it. And so little things like that, which I didn't think about. I thought it would be just a great thing to do, a great social event to have. It really does mean a lot to the kids, and not just the Thanksgiving dinner, but FFA in general. Some kids won't get through high school without it. And it's a big new open door to kids coming out of the middle school, coming up to the high school. They don't know what FFA is. And a good example is my oldest cousin. She was a junior, but before she found out about FFA, and she's just kicking herself every day that she didn't join and she didn't know about it. And so that's one of my big goals this year, is to get more kids, because it is a life-changing organization, not just for in high school, but for having jobs in the future, leadership, growing out of your shell, and just getting closer with friendships you'll have the rest of your life.
Tell them how many kids are coming to Thanksgiving dinner now.
Yeah, we have a lot of kids coming that are very excited. I'm still checking with kids to find out exactly on how many will be coming, but I do know I'm gonna have to get a couple extra pies. But yeah, thank you.
He just told me today about 50. And he thought this would be a nice thing to do, but he was telling me today how these kids don't have this kind of thing. And it's the first time we've ever done it. So, again, the producers are gonna pay for food and have this thing and this additional catered. I think it's fantastic. Something I didn't think of either, I don't take credit for that.
Besides helping financially, you could put our name out there so we can get more people involved and more people to help us. You can come to meetings and events. So if you ever want to just see what one of our chapter meetings looks like, you can get a hold of one of us and come to our school and watch one of our chapter meetings. Being aware of what FFA is, because a lot of people in our community don't actually know all what FFA entails. So being able to, if someone asks you, you can tell them what it's all about. And if, let's say you have friends with kids and they're interested, then you can explain to them what it is, so then they can get more people involved.
Thank you for having us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for all the work you do, Wayne. And congratulations to all you kids. This has been a successful program for as long as I can remember, ever since my kids were in school here and before that. So they really make, they make Sedro Woolley proud. And so I think we should give them another big hand for bringing it home.